the role that our churches are playing when it comes to our mental health as South African citizens. We do know, and it has been established, that South Africa affiliates on religion. Like how a number of us as South Africans, we do, or we are a country that is influenced by religion. To that effect, that we have Christians that from 80% plus they affiliate in and or they refer to themselves as Christians. That is, they are from a Christian based background, and if not background, they are active Christians themselves. So that forms about 80+%. That is well into the statistics. I do not want to focus more on the statistics themselves because that is just beyond or the scope of this, and I don't think I want to focus. But the fact that it is a large number, that is one thing that validates this that I'm trying to bring across today, and the concerns thereof that I have, and some of the challenges that maybe we need to look at. So we do have other religions, of course, that are not my main point of focus, and that they form but a list of the believers or the faith that is in South Africa, that I'm not disputing or taking it out or not validating it or not acknowledging it. So, but now for the purposes of this, you would remember from my previous video, I focused on the contribution of church and the paranoia that it actually is perpetrating towards and to our people. Why did I say that? You go back to that video and you will figure out, or you'll find out why am I saying that. That is also on my YouTube page. Just go back and check on my last podcast. That is where I've laid and said and mentioned that, therefore, why am I talking about this and who am I and how do I have a say about this? Because yes, I am a South African. I grew up in as a Christian. I've been a member of a particular church at some point, a very active member of a church. I have visited other churches also around. So in my observations, some of the things that I'm talking about in these are, can call it this series that I'm doing currently, they are influenced more so about my experiences. Might be appreciation, might be concerned. But like, okay, on my previous one, I was focusing more on the contribution of the religious organizations that is in Christian, on the Christian perspective and the minds of our people when it comes to paranoia. Because I've been there, I said I've been part of congregations, and I felt that these churches or the organizations, therefore, they do perpetuate this. It's quite popular even on TV. You see these things, these kind of narratives that are being said by the so-called pastors, apostles, bishops, whatever, of I'd say they selling this thing. I even refer to it as like they treating us that we need to take some sort of insurance. You know, when they selling you insurance, they said they first put out your fear. They first align and put here in front of you things that you should be concerned about. When they're selling your car insurance, if you're driving your car without an insurance, you can meet up anything could happen. You'd be driving very well on the road, and somebody out there would come and hit you, and when that person hits you, if you don't have an insurance, what's going to happen? So on our fear, they get us. So this is the same narrative that I feel or that I see happening when it comes to the churches. Why am I saying that? Why am I saying that? So now, based on that, if you've got questions about that and what I've said, you can go and engage me on my previous video. For today, we are looking at a further one, because I did mention that today I wish to be looking at the mental health on a different perspective. That is now the church, or the role of the church or the organizations, your faith-based organization, when it comes to our mental health. And I feel like I need to lay this before, that our churches, they form big part of South African lives. I mean, I don't know how to say this, but out of the 47 plus billion people that exist in South Africa, 87 plus people, they are Christians. And that is quite a number. It's huge. And we do have those who do not affiliate. We do have other religions, of course. So I don't think it should be just let alone, because my point of where I want to go is people really depend on these organizations, because no one will just go and put themselves at the hand of a certain pastor or a certain religion if they're not believing that is going to help them or improve their lives in a certain way, or in a way. So we do go to these churches, we do affiliate to these institutions in belief that they're going to help and make our lives better for some reason. You get a point? And now, in reference to the previous video that I did, if then now I'm gonna come out of church and become very paranoid and fear for my life, that I mustn't trust my neighbors, how therefore is it helping me? You get a point? So okay, now today I'm looking at the mental health and the Christian organizations, or the faith-based organizations. I want to request you this, that you like and you share and you subscribe, you follow, you comment, you question this page. And the reasons is solely just to try and get as many people that can engage and teach and learn and advise concerning the issues that are laid out on this page. And at this point, there is no profit or anything that I'm making at this page. It's just for being informative. So if you do that, you will be helping me, helping the next person that might need this information. And yeah, man, let's get to it. I've already mentioned that South Africa has got 80% of Christians. I can say 80+% of Christians, of which we know one of our big churches that we have. I'm not gonna mention the names of the churches. They fall under the ancestral and traditional African religion, né? But they focus on both physical and spiritual health or well-being, né? It's quite a big religion. And then we have others that and that one I must notice it's not in any way influenced by your missionaries or any religion that we can say is from the West. It's just solely an African based religion kind of thing. So then we have other big dominations also, which are mainly influenced by you. We find those to be your world churches, your global churches, the ones that are influenced, and they tap more into the space of the Western worship kind of style. So those are your global churches, but they are now, we're focusing on their contributions now here in South Africa, let alone their contribution in the rest of the world. And now I want to look at that perspective from the South African perspective. How is it helping me mentally? I must also mention that I've been a member, like I said, of a church, fully fledged, active member of a church. I've visited a couple of churches, which some of I became active, but I was not a full member. I was doing things on request. And yeah, others I just visited, others I would see them whenever I would be visiting, whether it's a funeral or whatever. But I can get a sense of what kind of a religion that is, or what is the agenda that the church pushes, or their main focus when it comes to their principles and their culture or anything like that. So one thing that concerns me, that probably might have been the more reasons why I decided to do this, to just delve a little bit deeper, because I'm not going to dwell on statistics. Statistics are clear. South Africa is a religious country. Some of our beliefs, they are grounded and founded on our values, which in this case I'd say a religion. Even if you meet another person that is not a Christian, they are also informed by their particular reason, and therefore it tends to influence how they do things and they think things. However much there is a conflict, a concern that I have. There is a concern that I have because on my visits, as I say in some of the churches, uh in my own church, the one that I was affiliated to, a baptized member thereof, I was faced with kind of questions, but it was not easy to actually have to ask those questions. But I'm not gonna lie, it is a good organization in terms of studying, learning, reading, studying, and critically studying the Bible, with every literature that is there at the disposal for the knowledge and enrichment of one's mind and spirituality. But however much there is a certain topic that they I felt there wasn't given much attention to. There were literatures, there are still literatures that talk about the health, and not just health only, that is physical health. To a certain extent, they will go and touch on the mental health. And as a person that I was concerned at some point, I remember, if not mistaken, it was an afternoon study that we were holding at church. I asked the question that, because there is that belief and that narrative that if one commits suicide, they're not gonna make it to heaven. And there I was, I stood up, I lifted my hand, I'd love to talk, and the person, fortunately or unfortunately, that was conducting that study. It was a person that was well known to me. And I asked the question, I'm like, okay, I understand that we believe and we say, if I included myself because I'm part of that congregation, and whatever that is agreed upon, and me having to be baptized in that same faith, I was taking the principles thereof. So I wouldn't say you saying. So I'd say I believe we have an understanding, or we say that people that commit suicide, they're not gonna make it to heaven when Jesus Christ is coming. Excuse me, those are not people that are going to be forming part of the people that are going to be resurrected and to be taken to heaven. Now, on what basis is that, and why do we believe that? Because in my understanding, I believe that somebody that attempts suicide, you also correct me as my people, you engage me, you comment on the comment section down below, you will like, you will follow, you will teach others, you will give a better narrative. I'm like, I believe that when somebody gets to the point of having to commit or even to attempt suicide, there is something that is not right with them mentally. They are not in the right state of mind. They are not well mentally. Why I'm saying that? I went further to explain that it is easier for us to tell when somebody is sick physically, because before they sometimes even say, I have got a headache, you'll be seeing some, things, or somebody has got a tummy ache, they'll be, it shows. We can tell. But then, unfortunately, the sad thing is that we cannot tell when somebody is not well emotionally or mentally. So, if somebody who is not well physically, they pass away, let's say due to their illness, they pass away, we don't say they will not see heaven, right? They still were not getting me at this point. But when somebody is not well mentally, we are, and because of their illness or their disturbance or their state of mind, we say that that person is not going to make it to heaven, and they lose their life because of their state of mind. Why would we come to that conclusion? Because I want to believe that Jesus Christ, as we are preaching to the world, is a loving, caring somebody that is, we just understand. He knows whatever that we go through, and therefore He takes care of our needs as the need arise. So, why do we come to that conclusion? Because that person is not well mentally, just like the one that is not well physically. I was then met with a response from the host of the program. Why would you ask such a question? Are you contemplating committing suicide? Of course, I would not have said yes, and of course, I tried to elaborate more as to why I was asking such a question. But instead of getting an answer to the question, it diverted. People started putting their opinions and what they are thinking and whatnot and whatnot. But basically, I was waiting for that answer, and I still don't have an answer to that answer. The answer lies within me. I understand of Jesus Christ to be the person that, not a person, sorry, the divine being that cannot view things or cannot look at things as we do. He's got a better understanding or a better view of things than me and you. If I'm not well, he knows I'm not well. If I take a certain action, he understands the motive behind, behind my actions. And even as a court, we know and understand that the court, if they're gonna give you a judgment for your actions, yes, but they look at the motive. Then after they establish the motive, they will get to understand and they will make their own conclusion based on the motive of what informed your decision, or you get a point. So I never got that answer. The answer that I was given was Jesus Christ is the greatest physician. There's nothing that he cannot heal. There's nothing that he cannot make right. And if you let yourself and you allow yourself, he'll take care of you. Thank you, I know that. One, that's point number one. So, yeah, that's Jesus is the greatest physician, and that suicide question left us. So now later in life, I visit another church, total different church than where the one I grew up worshiping in. And I believe you me, I still love and respect that domination, that church. I still, it's just one of the things that sometimes I just feel that our denominations, they do not give enough space for certain things to be addressed. If it's not in their belief or whatever, if you come and ask certain questions, you are viewed or you are looked at as somebody. Because why would you ask a question around mental health and trying to understand things with what informs our decisions, and then you're taking as somebody that is actually putting holes, or that somebody that is wanting or questioning a certain somebody's authority? And it's a fair question to ask. All right, now fast forward, I go and visit another denomination not long ago. I go there, they enjoy my company and everything. They would request me to do certain things. Now I think I discussed with, not that we were discussing even, like it just came to a point where we were talking, and then I made mention of depression, specifically my struggle with depression. And the pastor said, "Do you struggle with depression?" I'm like, yeah, even though now I've found ways and means to deal with it. Even though I'm still taking my antidepressants, but now it's better to manage than many years or a few years back, of which I wasn't able. Literally, it was a struggle. So now I've found ways of, actually I understand it now, and I've got better ways of managing my depression. So I feel like this where I'm sitting is, it's quite flat, man, and to sleep early because I'm going to work early tomorrow. So now I talk with the pastor, and the pastor tells me that I was kind of disappointed, but at the same time I understood that this is South African. I know that I'm looking down on everyone, sort of, but then again, certain things when they happen, they just remind you straight up that I'm in South Africa. The pastor said to me, people who struggle with depression, they are weak people. I laughed at, look at him and say, so you look at me, you think I'm weak. He laughs. He said, nah, yeah, Phelisa, we need to talk about this. I-depression iphatha abantu abawake. I let it at that, even though sometime I was hoping good maybe I would have enough space. But that was just a conversation between me and him, thankfully so. But I've also got to learn that the most what happens in South Africa, where people will be taking their medication. It could have been ARVs. We've heard of those stories that people take ARVs and then the pastors they take them and throw them on the bin. This similar incidents happened that where people were taken their antidepressants and they were thrown in the dustbin because the pastor believed that if you are suffering or struggling with a mental health illness, there was something wrong with you. Now I always come and ask, a finger can be sore, right? And if you come and say, my finger is sore, there is nothing sinister about that, right? No one judges you. Like, oh. They just ask, what happened to your finger? An arm gets sore. And if you go and report that my arm is sore, people just like ask you, what happens to your arm? My body is sore. Okay, what happened? Why is your body sore? People seem to understand this kind of things. I'm sick. I've got high blood pressure. Okay, what's your diet? People find ways and means to advise. But there's this thing when you come and be like, I'm struggling with mental health issues, guys. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety 2013 or so, And people like, why would you have mental health? There's nothing, it's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. And now I'm always thinking now, which is actually brought me down to be actually want to talk about this now. Because I sit and I think, and I've noticed that there's a lot of people that are next and close to me that are struggling with this, and sometimes it's difficult because I'm not a therapist, right? And my learnings or my understandings of this illness, they only come from me having to experience it. And in my experience of it, I get to learn ways and techniques of how to deal with it. Like now, for example, if ngibanjwa anxiety or a panic attack in the middle of the night, yeah, iyothusa, ayikho mnandi. But better than then, or way before, where I'd be in panic even more because I would understand what's going on, man. Now it's easier for me because I sit and then I'm like, I try to establish what is wrong with me. Even if it takes me a few minutes to be able to get the grasp of things, I would sit and then be like, okay, what's wrong with me? Okay, my heart is pumping high, I'm feeling hot, anxious, my palms are sweating and everything. I'm like, okay, gosh, it's just an anxiety attack. I'm not dying. Get up on. And then by that very first step of trying to figure out and understand what is going on with me, it helps me to calm down. Gee. Because one of the things or the tricks about this mental health kind of thing, if you struggle with the anxiety and you haven't figured out your anxiety or you do not know, when it hits you, you think you die. You'd really think there's something very serious going on with you. I'm not saying it's not a serious thing. It might be something that is caused by an underlying whatever, but it is a mental health, whatever. So I'm not belittling it in any way. I know that shit is painful. No one wants to go through that. And especially to somebody that is still new in this thing. It can be very scary. It leaves you terrible, feeling all sorts of way. So now here are you meet up with this pastor and you talk with this pastor, you indicate to this pastor your challenge, and then they take it and they belittle it is to a point where they tell you straight up that depression ibamba abantu weak. I once said to, I'd say, a former friend of mine, because there are certain people that you need to let go of, especially when it comes to your mental health. I mean, I'm very selfish when it comes to my mental health. If it's something I see it's attacking me and it goes straight for my mental or my emotions, I quickly run. Because I don't want to see myself lying in those hospitals. I better, guys, I slept in many hospitals, psychiatric hospitals. Igauteng almost, I've been there, from Pretoria, Bovista, Kempton Park, even to Whip. I know that. So if anything is coming straight from my mental health or to challenge me on my mental health, I run. I'm selfish when it comes to that. Okay, I never ran from the pastor. I wanted to engage him because he's somebody of privilege. He's somebody there of stature. People look up to him. You've got a whole audience. You've got an audience that you have an opportunity to sit and talk these matters with and get to understand and learn and teach yourself about these things. Certainly we have those kind of persons that they think they know and understand everything that is put on the table, and therefore they want to say, to have a word or to have something to say about things they haven't even taught themselves about. They want to have a say about things that they have no clue about. As I said that, I once said to this friend of mine, I don't wish you to have depression. I don't wish you to have or to experience mental health. Sadly, it's said that if it may happen that any person in your circle or in a space, let's say even if it's your child, you won't be able to know what to do because you'll go blame them and insult them about their illness. And now, mind you, my friend never not understood my mental health challenges. She knew them well. To visit me in hospital, she was there. But to take that and you insult me when it suits you about it, as if something I voluntarily took out for, and you use it as a weakness. If we're supposed to make a decision or a judgment of something, why would you, not me agreeing with you, you pin it to me having to be struggling with a mental health? Why would you think that just like any other person, I am and I can make decisions and I can have a view of things in a different way than you, just like anybody else? So when these things now happen, somebody comes straight for your mental, and I tell you, oh, mind you, this is somebody that is very much aware of what I had to go through as a person. Somebody was holding my hand in hospital and telling me, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be fine. And it said this is somebody that forms a part of the same congregation of the church community I was in. So now this goes back to, actually, do these people really understand that mental health, as much as physical health requires a doctor, it also requires a doctor? Because if it's a matter of Jesus as a healer, as the greatest physician, he understands what's going on and he is the greatest. If you're going through, go and talk with him, he's going to help you. Why, when you have got a headache, must you take a tablet? Why, when you have got a sore body, or you are diagnosed with cancer, you are diagnosed with any other illness, HIV or all those things. Why must people know and realize that this is time for me to go to the doctor and take tablets? But when it comes to mental issues and mental health, guys, our church organization people, they belittle this thing. I put it to you, Njengo, go advocate Mshololo. I put it to you that our ministers, our pastors, our apostles, our bishops, they still look at the mental health as a sickness or as an illness of something of no or of little value, something that mustn't be taken serious. Are they therefore doing enough to make sure that their members that are part of the membership at church that struggle with mental health issues are well taken care of, supported? I feel that they are not doing enough. There's no way they will do enough because they're not taking it serious. They take it as you can do better. You can do better, man. Don't let this thing get to you. No? Don't let this thing get to you. You are strong. Hey, guys. Banje anxiety esibhedlela ukhala uyahlanya ikhanda likubhekisa ngalo kuphana umuntu. No, you're strong. You're strong. I'm not denying the fact that when you want to support somebody, sometimes you run out of words. Sometimes I even prefer, my manager once said to me, Phelisa, I want to help you, I wanna be there for you, but I don't know how. I don't know where to start. Now, mind you, that was a manager to me. I've been into many hospitals before, and I've had episodes where I'd find myself sitting in front of a desk in tears and not knowing what to do with myself. She would also be seated there with me, not knowing what to do. But at least she was honest, right? I want to help you, but I don't know what to do. So now you sit with these churches that form so big of community in our country. 80% plus of churches. Church members of that magnitude. Having to do with all sorts of people. Physically ill, disabled, people that have got lots of challenges that are put in their care. Because remember, once we said that on the previous video, we said part of the responsibility of the churches is to look after the community and taking care of the members. So when you say the members, it does not refer to the members of the church, because remember we said the community forms the church, and therefore the church's responsibility is to look after the community. So now a whole of one, because I don't want to be going to, that time will probably come. That time is going to come where we're going to have to look at individual churches and their roles in individual areas where they have been placed in. Because my point is to actually have a look. Kahle ukuthi imaphi lamasonto la angathatha abantu serious when it comes to this. Because I think I also have an idea of which I'm not going to get into it now. That there is a tendency from certain denominations not to take this. And sadly, because these communities that struggle much with mental health, they form large part of our communities, and they form large part of the church memberships. Isn't that why probably backlash emakhaya In the rural areas, we see our brothers, our mothers, our fathers running, roaming up and down the streets, picking up papers. Is it not because now you'd remember in those areas, in the rural areas, those people bakholwa labantu bayakholwa, and it's different types of denominations, and they honor those appointments every Sunday, every Wednesday, every now and again they go to church. But you find that in the same areas, people are struggling with mental health to a point where they go to they cannot go to mental institutions. They end up roaming around the streets picking up papers. Yet they've got a leader in the church, they've got a sister in the church, they've got a brother in the church, they've got a mother in the church, but a person ends up roaming in the street. Are those not the kind of things that makes the people to literally rather shy away from churches, and to actually come to a point or realization where they feel they despise, they don't want to be members of such, because instead of being met with help, they are met with judgments. That if you struggle with mental health, actually they not even say if you struggle, if you have depression, I prefer to call myself as somebody that struggles with mental health. It challenges me, and therefore I fight. I don't have the thing. It challenges me. I find myself in a certain corner at a certain point, but I fight. Now you take a person, you put them in the same container with a depression, and you tell them that they have depression because they are weak. Is it not? Maybe this will be answered by my next video, because I couldn't mix the two as I had hoped for. But the one I'm gonna do next is very, very important. If you miss anything, don't miss that one. Don't miss that one, because I think it's gonna come and give us a perspective of exactly what I'm trying to say, or the the gist of where I'm going with this series, which is not gonna be many episodes, it's just gonna be very few episodes. So I think it goes back. I'm trying, because I feel that light there, it's disturbing or not, or maybe ngiyayicabangela, or it disturba mina, or yeah, something like that. So ngiyayiveza kakhulu manje, okay, but okay, anyway, because I was running away from this. But yeah, anyway, so I feel that our churches are not doing enough. They are not educating themselves about mental health. They do not take mental health serious. They do not take people with mental health issues serious. Have you ever told somebody that, let's say, I had depression, or I'm struggling with depression, or was struggling with depression? Have you ever met by the question, why would you have depression? This other lady asked me those questions one time. Hey. But I told her, because most of the time, especially when it comes, I always say it's better when somebody asks you and try and get better clarity from you, rather than going and be talking things that don't make sense out there, about something that they literally clearly have no idea about themselves. So she asked me these questions. I literally gave myself a time to actually indicate the the signs, like the symptoms and what goes on with you. Of course, I understand it's individual. It differs from person to person, and to actually even diagnose mental health, it's difficult because it's not one size fits all. While you're struggling with the same symptoms, we might not be struggling with the same diagnosis. So it's one of the things that I even say, even thought to myself that even the same person that is telling me that uh, I'm weak because I struggle with mental health, I thought that actually, looking at him, I thought that he's got mental health issues. But nah, never said. But either way, we established that first video. This is in my conclusion that the churches, they put this narrative to people of fear, and we end up with people that struggle with paranoia, that people are out there to get them, there are people out there to, people are out there to hurt them, people are out there to, they're not happy about what they've obtained or achieved, or they have not achieved because people are babaloya or babathathela iy'nhlanhla zabo while they're still growing up or something like that. So we have those kind of organizations. We have those kind of organizations that are actually instilling lack of trust from one another, that we mustn't help or mustn't assist each other, because if I happen to borrow somebody money, they're gonna take that money and go and work it and stop on bamises into zam. We get the point. So how do we break that? How do we break that? And I think the very next video is gonna be very critical to actually look at, guys, or to check it out, because this is gonna be the last one that I'm gonna do on this topic, and then we'll probably have one sum up short video after that to actually find a way or to establish good, how can we go forward, because I think that if we are this nation that has got so many Christians. I'll tell you why. So many Christians. And now if you read to a Bible, the views that they probably had when it comes to certain issues. Could it be that? Could that be a contributing factor as to why certain things are not taken serious? Or why? Because if we look at it, mostly this mental health challenge or issues, it goes very far to the point where you find that it tend to be very gender specific. If you go on the streets, there are ladies, there are women that are out there, but if you look in the streets, men, they form part of the bigger people that ends up on the street. Why? That's another talk for another time. And we have such a state that is so Christian and that believe in God, yet we've got so many problems. Something must be wrong. So yeah, on the next video, we're going to be talking about churches and abuse. I know I'm leaving with questions at this point, but I hope to find a one closing video to all of those things. If you keep on following me and you keep track of where I am, you're not gonna lose me. But I still believe that there are things that we can still correct. We can still make these things right. Because It is us that form churches. Guys, it is me that does not believe on my sister when she tells me she has got depression, she's struggling with depression, or she's struggling with bipolar, she's struggling with anxiety disorder, she's struggling with, all of those mental health challenges. It's me, I'm the community. When I'm there at church, I form part of a community, and therefore it is my responsibility to help. I don't know if maybe the people from the church people or the communities that are very active on that are in church and some are not taking their duties and responsibilities seriously, because if they did, they would understand the assignment, and I think they don't get the assignment. I think they don't get the assignment or the main aim or the main objective of them being a church. I think they miss that big part. So yeah, just follow me. Click that like button and that follow, the comment, subscribe, and then we move along. So, and then you will see everything that I'm going to be posting. If you've got any questions or anything, we will attend them at the comment sections. We will engage each other and try and find solutions to those things, and we escalate and then get people. The point is to get people that are going to come here and address these issues, these matters for us, so that we can be able to find a better way and understanding. I'm hoping that, yeah, some of those people are going to come here and talk and give us maybe the understanding and the belief that they have when it comes to these issues, and probably give us solutions as to where and how can we resolve those issues, or how can we become better people, or better yet get better understanding. So yeah, follow, let's work together and try and make our community a better place for all. So this one was church and the mental health. The one before, being specific on the church and what do you call this the out there to get me mentality. Yeah, before it was mainly about that. So now the next one is going to be the church and abuse, and that one is hit hot and happening, right? And I want you to hear it. I've got some quotations. I'm gonna be talking but a little bit of a background from probably the Bible itself, and maybe trying to figure out what our leaders, when it comes to behaving in certain manners and certain ways in church, does the history we get from the Bible maybe contribute to how they become, or who they become, or the kind of leaders they become, or that they are? We do not know. But yeah, look out on the next video, and then we can talk. We can talk. Have a lovely evening. This was me, Phelisa, your queen. Your queen. See you on the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day. Me, I love you. And I'm out of here. Bounce. Bye-bye.